Hi guys, today I'm just doing a short video on basically how to identify the last days in the New Testament. A lot of people think, oh, we're in the last days or this or that. So I'm just going to give you a quick, like 3 verses just to show people, and you'll become a master at identifying when the last days in the Bible actually are. Okay? So first verse, go to the book of Daniel, and you will find in Daniel chapter 12. And this actually kind of wrecks a lot of partial preterism as well, because Daniel 12 is talking about resurrection, whereas partial preterism will put resurrection in our future. So this is really important to understand the time of the end and the last days, which we're going to see. So Daniel 12, and he says in verse 4, but you, right, whenever you hear a but, you should figure out what's right before it. So it's a continuous thought. Well, and he says, at that time, right, shall arise Michael, and he, right, Michael means commander of armies, and it says, at this time there was a nation till that time. At that time your people shall be delivered, right? He's talking about everyone who sleeps in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life. So this is resurrection, right? In verse 4 he says, shut up the words and seal the book until, right? Remember, until the time of the end. So Daniel 12 and verse 4 is my first verse. I said 3 verses identify the last days. So this is the first verse. It says, until the time of the end, what would happen? He would seal up the words of the book. Okay? So this is the scroll. This is the prophecy, likely of the 70-week prophecy, the same one he spoke in Daniel 9 and Daniel chapter 10. And so that's something you can look more into as well. Daniel 9:24 again is a great one. But anyway, first verse, Daniel 12 verse 4. And then second verse to identify the last days is Revelation 22 verse 10. It's talking about Jesus, right? Jesus is coming. And then verse 10, do not seal up the words of the prophecy of this book, for the time is near. Right? So Revelation 22, the time is near, right? So immediately there's going to be an event right after the book of Revelation is written, and it says, do not seal up the words of the prophecy of this book, for the time is near. So right away, the words were sealed up for a long period of time, and then the book of Revelation rolls around. It says, do not seal up the words. Why? Because remember in Daniel 12 verse 4, it said until the time of the end. So when's the time of the end? It's right after the book of Revelation would have been written. Again, this just confirms the dating of the book of Revelation. It confirms full preterism. It confirms the nature of the resurrection. It confirms a lot of things, guys. And this is a really easy way to understand that. And you'll watch really smart people say some really stupid things about the last days when you show them this. Right, in book of Daniel, I think Daniel chapter 10, again, it talks about the time is far off, but then the book of Revelation, the time is near, right? So we should contrast those and think about this reasonably, right? If people still aren't convinced, I would ask them about my third verse. Third verse is Matthew 16 and verse 28. He says, truly I say to you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Right, so this is the second coming of Christ that everybody goes on about. Futurists are always talking about this. But they never deal with this verse. And when you ask them about it, they'll say, oh, that's the 144,000 or something way off in left field. That doesn't make any sense. So there it is, guys. I don't know what else to say. This is the third verse I would give them. And if they still think, well, there's still people standing and are still alive on the earth that have been living for 2,000 years, well, show me those people, please, right? So again, this is another verse just to show when the last days would be, because Jesus would come at the end and he would come with his kingdom. And thanks guys for watching.